Today we'll be talking about being unable to conceive again, or in medical parlance, it's known as secondary fertility. Good morning, Dr. Toyin. It's a pleasure to have you with us once more. And Dr. Ogunniran, lovely to have you here. Morning.
Good morning, Dr. Pamela.
Now, I just want us to kick off because, for some people, this concept of you've had a baby once and not being able to have or get pregnant again, is caused by other forces, which we'll get into shortly, as opposed to medical ones. But tell us first, what is infertility? And really put it in the context of how a woman or a couple are expected to conceive and the understanding of what it means to be unable to conceive a second time or after having a first child.
Okay, so I mean, infertility is, inability to conceive after trying for 1 year, having regular sexual intercourse. And you have primary and secondary. We're focusing on secondary today. Secondary basically means that you've had a baby before, but then you're now having challenges trying to have a baby again. And what we actually find in this part of the world is that we tend to see this a bit more often, than, the primary, especially in our neck of the woods. So people would have had a child before, and then they're coming back to us, 3, 4, 5 years later, for some reason not being able to have a child again. And obviously that's much more of a challenge because, the expectations, as we all know from the society, they've had one child, why have they not had the next 5 children and so on. So it's always a bit of a burden for them. But yeah, so that's sort of the broad definition of it and the challenge that they face. And we tend to find that, the causes are varied, as I always like to say.
Yeah. If I can just ask, because you see, you said fertility is after being able to conceive for 1 year. But after you've conceived, how quickly should a woman, should one be able to get pregnant again? Because I think that's the issue, is that sometimes people think, it takes 2 to 3 years to get going again. Can you conceive immediately? I do know some people who have. What's the normal range for the second pregnancy? Or is it the same definition?
Well, you can conceive. Once you've had no trouble conceiving the first time, there shouldn't be any trouble conceiving the second time, unless an issue comes up, for instance. So, every time, any couple is trying to conceive, they have a certain, chance of getting pregnant, if you've got regular cycles and no challenges at all. So the definition doesn't necessarily apply, you don't sort of say, you've got to wait another year and then call it infertility. It expects you to conceive straight, well, not straight away. Some people straight away, some people can conceive when they're still breastfeeding, baby number 1. But we hear this sort of stories.
But sometimes some people say that breastfeeding stops you from getting pregnant. Is that true? Is that a myth?
No, it's not a myth. It's not a myth. It's physiological. So there is something called lactational amenorrhea, which basically means when you're breastfeeding, you don't get periods. Therefore, you shouldn't be able to get pregnant. But we all know that you can still get pregnant even if you're breastfeeding. It's not common. So don't panic out there, because some people use breastfeeding as contraception, sort of thing. When they're, I'm going to breastfeed for a year, and I should be fine, and you should be fine. But sometimes, 1 or 2 things slip through, and you might get pregnant.
Okay, so because I thought, we should just sort of clear that up. So can you go into then why is it that a person who's conceived naturally the first time, normally and had no problems, why is it that they should have a problem conceiving the second time?
So that's a really good question. Now, because we know that, causes of parties, female, the man or the woman, so I know that we tend to think it's also the woman, but a lot of times, it's actually split pretty even in terms of, who's to blame or whose problem it is. Now, one thing that we know for sure is that when I look at men, sperm parameters are declining rapidly. Okay, so if we compare, sperm parameters today to what they were, like 100 years ago, there's a significant decline. All right, so maybe you got pregnant fine the first time because it was never really picked up because it wasn't that bad at that stage. Maybe like 3, 4 years down the line, there's been a significant change, and then now you actually find that it might be that the man's sperm parameters have significantly reduced, that actually spontaneously having a baby is much more of a challenge. and that's when they need help, from a specialist. Or it could be that maybe the woman had something that wasn't quite picked up and didn't really cause a huge issue. So something like fibroids, very common, in us Black women, for instance. But not all fibroids cause problems getting pregnant. All right. So maybe she got pregnant with that. Maybe she had fibroids and she got pregnant. But then the fibroid might have grown bigger, and then we know that having fibroids, we think it does reduce fertility to some extent, regardless, compared to someone with that fibroid. So maybe now having that fibroid, maybe it's a little bit bigger now, and that's not going to impact your chance of getting pregnant, without that fibroid being treated, for example. I'm just giving a couple of examples. So those are the kind of reasons that we see that maybe why people are struggling.
Dr. Ogunniran, do you have anything you want to add to that?
Yes, Dr. Toyin has mentioned quite a number of points, and what she mentioned as well as regards couples, because it takes two to achieve this conception. For the female aspect as well, we know that sometimes there are some infections that they could develop even after achieving a childbirth, which on its own over time could lead to further complications leading to tubal blockage or even leading to challenges in the woman achieving that conception. We know the aspect of the age is also there, because as the age is also increasing for the woman, the parameters, the chance of getting pregnant are also reducing over time. So all this could produce, could push a woman into having this case of secondary infertility. We also know that hormonal changes could happen as the woman is also growing older. This could lead to this challenge as well. And we have quite a number of couples coming in. And she mentioned a very important fact as well as regards the semen parameter. So a man that has successfully fathered a child that had no challenge is coming in after a few months, and you're looking at the sperm parameters, you're discovering that these parameters have declined, or for example, the complications that could set in that could also lead to either decline or even absent sperms seen in the semen. So these are important factors that we need to look into and also screen for when women are coming in. Oh, we've achieved this conception before. It was not a problem. We didn't have even to take any medications, but now they are coming to realize that they have to take medications or they need a form of assisted fertility treatment to achieve conception.
But that's very hard for people, isn't it? I mean, psychologically, I've had a baby before, we've had a baby before, and now you're telling me this. How difficult is it for people to come around to accepting the fact that they need assistance?
Yeah, so a lot of people find it difficult, and that's the honest reality, because something they've never been used to, something that they've naturally they just tried and achieved that conception. So it could be a very hard reality for a lot of couples coming down to discover that, oh, we're finding it hard to achieve that conception now. And a lot of aspect also is involved in emotional management for these clients coming to that realization. Emotional management is very, very important for these couples, because if, for example, they are discovered that, oh, we had this challenge, it will be maybe easier to understand. But if they've never had this challenge before, coming down to that, realize that, oh, we're discovering that we're having this challenge. So it could become a bit of shock for a lot of couples, and emotional management is actually key to managing such couples that have this condition.
Now, what do you think about the? Yes, please carry on.
Just to buttress what Dr. Ogunniran said, and it puts a lot of strain on the couples as well. We get couples who are coming in, and then the blame game starts. So, is it your fault? Is it her fault? Like Dr. Ogunniran mentioned, maybe she. And then there's a lot of blame, so that emotional management, is really, really critical, and then counseling, a lot of times, you have to just actually get them to see, our counselors, just to help them even just navigate this challenge that they're having, even within themselves, to try and even just accept that it's not my fault, it's not your fault, it is what it is, and how can we move forward?
Yes. Now, the issue though of our culture and the issue of spirituality and some people feeling it is someone doing them, etc. How often do you find that, and how big is that a challenge in dealing with couples when they come in?
Yeah, couples come in, and very few though, because we know that with education and with exposure, a lot of things, and of course with the internet revolution, a lot of people Google a lot of factors before coming in. But you still find a few couples that believe it's a spiritual thing that is worrying them, and sometimes in the conversation, we're trying to tell them that, okay, if I have a spiritual problem, I'd rather go to a church. But now you're coming to the hospital to see a specialist, so I'm here to help you to put you on the right path. So we try and, not that we invalidate those concerns, we try and validate those concerns, but still tell them that definitely there's something scientific going on. It's something that we can solve, it's something that we can look into and achieve that goal that they need to achieve. But we still get quite some few couples that believe in the spiritual aspect of when it comes to this area because of the religion in our environment. But the reality is there that if there's something that is going on that has prevented you from achieving a conception, we need to look into that and help you achieve that.
How important is it that how important is it that how important is it that the couple actually, because this issue of spirituality, how important is it that the couple understands science behind it, the mechanics behind it? I understand that the British Clinic has an app now that helps couples with this understanding. Can you tell us a bit more about that?
Yeah, so education is critical. Actually, you're so right about that, Pamela, because there's a lot of misinformation, misconception, untruths, myths, all around this stuff. However educated people are, they'll still listen to other things. So yeah, so we've just launched it's a WhatsApp platform, which is very accessible, and it's basically like we're calling it the journey to parenthood, and it's basically just a way to educate yourself on everything about fertility and infertility. So it's really, really simple. It's like a question and answer. You ask questions and they're automatic responses. Secondary, what is infertility? What is IVF? What is ICSI? All these fancy names and terms you hear. But because we believe that there's it's so important to come to have that knowledge to begin with, that will then help you actually go to the right place and seek help at the right time. Because like Dr. Ogunniran said, that delay in seeking help is always a challenge as well. So on our website you can register. It's free. And like I said, it's a WhatsApp platform, so everyone's got WhatsApp. We hope nowadays. So that should be very, very easy to access and just educate yourself fully on the whole journey to parenthood.
Because you'll be surprised that people really do feel that spiritual aspect disrupts pregnancy. They really strongly believe that, and in fact, I know there's not much time for this side, but could it be that if a person then believes they're spiritually being attacked, quote unquote, it gives them mental health issues, and that issue then perhaps depression, anxiety can play a part?
Anything's possible. I think definitely. I'm always saying that a big part of this struggle to get pregnant, definitely has an effect on your mental health. Definitely, individually, as a couple, so even like couples counseling, is even critical sometimes, even prior to trying to do any treatments. But on what you're saying about spirituality, I think, I'm hopeful that a lot of our pastors now, some of our pastors now, IVF, it's not like the devil's spawn. It's not anything terrible. I was recently on, I was honored to be on a recent pastors roundtable with some pastors talking about, ethics, the ethical dilemmas of IVF and ART. And it's just really refreshing to see that, they understand that actually, this is something, that is helpful. So they're actually encouraging their congregation to not, prayer is very important. No one's saying don't pray, but also just understand that part of that prayer is also being led to the right place, been led to the right specialist, been led to the right clinic.
Being led to the British Clinic.
God put us here for a reason. Been led to the British Clinic. So I'm hopeful that as time goes on, the pastors who have a really big part to play are now coming around to really just educate their congregation as well. That seeking help, having infertility treatments, you're not going to go to hell. It's okay. It's something that you can do without any concern that you're committing some major spiritual anomaly or something.
No, and I think that's very important. Thank you very much.
So Dr. Toyin mentioned the aspect of religion, because even what she mentioned about as regards the roundtable discussion, even pastors will also tell you, in the Bible, faith without works is dead. So you can have faith, you can believe, but you have to put that faith into action. And the work is seeking help and seeking it. So the mental health state is also important. A lot of couples are in this space, struggling with their mental health, struggling with that aspect that, oh, what is going on when it was so easy for me before. So seeking help in the right place is important, and that's why we're here, and here to direct them and also emotionally manage them to achieve what is necessary to be achieved.
Thank you. Thank you very much. That was quite an interesting first half. And I think it's important just to ask about lifestyle. What impact does lifestyle have on secondary infertility? Is there a role it plays? Is there a way that one can actually prevent it from affecting one?
Yeah, so lifestyle has a large role to play in general well-being and also for couples trying to achieve a conception. And that's why we keep talking about the effect of alcohol intake, the effect of smoking, using recreational drugs, and also safe sexual practices. We know that over time, alcohol and smoking has been shown to have a very, very huge impact on quality of eggs, quality of the sperms. You're seeing men coming in for analysis and you're finding out that the sperm parameters are very, very bad. And this has been proven, these are actually evidence-based things, but lifestyle generally is very, very important. Also the aspect of weight, also for women, we know it's a natural thing that happens that once women get pregnant, they gain some weight because of the effect of the hormonal changes of the body. And of course, once they give birth, it could be difficult to regain that weight. We're not saying you should go back to your pre-pregnancy weight, but it's important that the lifestyle is also important to ensure that the weight is also maintained at a very good level to ensure that the hormones in the body system are also in an optimal state. You are eating balanced diets because all these have a role to play as well in the weight status, has effect on the hormonal states, has effect on maintaining that general lifestyle well-being. So definitely lifestyle is a very, very important aspect when we regard talking about fertility.
Are there any other medical conditions that can affect a woman and or a couple and cause them not to get or to be able to conceive again?
Yes, there are a lot of medical conditions. We talked about the female and the male aspect, but for the woman as well, it could be from the womb itself. For some women that fortunately had to go through maybe a cesarean delivery, for example. I will know because in this part of the world, our health practices though are well regulated, but we still find some women going to different practices where proper safe health standards are not maintained, and they have either complications following their surgeries. They could compromise their fertility status as well. We talked about fibroids coming up. Fibroids is something that is very common in our environment here. So for women that have not had fibroids before, they could still develop fibroids as long as they are within the reproductive age. We know that fibroids in itself, on its own, does not delay conception depending on where they are located and depending on the symptoms that they are presenting with. And the hormonal factors as well. These are things that can change in the body system, and all these have a role to play in women not achieving or couples not achieving that conception, as well as for the man as well.
Yes, it's actually very interesting because I actually know personally a couple who had secondary infertility. And after a while, it actually was discovered the man had tremors. And his tremors were actually due to raised thyroid hormones. Mm. And once he treated that excess thyroid, amazingly, she got pregnant almost immediately. And so I think it's also very important that people look into their general health, I think, apart from the specific issues, you know, because everybody focuses on, you know, that area down there, but actually it could be other areas that need treating that could affect them. Now, we've talked about the general, you know, issues around infertility. What kind of treatment, what kind of diagnosis and treatment is available medically? I'll go on to non-medical ones that I'll ask about afterwards, but what is available medically for people who need help?
All right, so there are different treatment options based on the assessment. So it's important when couples come in, and we assess them, we're able to offer them the right treatment options. Usually, of course, there are different fertility options. Some people may if there's an hormonal imbalance in the body system. And luckily, we've seen some people get pregnant naturally, even after adjusting and taking these hormonal medications. Sometimes some people need a form of assistance, what we call artificial insemination, based on the parameters that we've assessed them. They may just need intrauterine insemination to achieve that conception. And of course, most people may want to now need, or would likely need a form of assisted reproductive technology in the effect of IVF. So we're finding men that, for example, had either a traumatic, for example, I had a couple recently, they've achieved conception before, but the man had an accident, or unluckily, unfortunately, that was traumatic to his private area, and he came down with azoospermia, which means we could not see any sperm cells again. And it was quite an unfortunate experience for them. And considering that they now have to go through IVF, could be very, very a daunting experience for them. But that was what was available for them to do. So IVF is also an option where they now have to, we have to achieve that conception outside the body, where we're collecting eggs from the woman. The woman goes through some hormonal stimulation. We have to collect sperms from the man, of course, generate embryos and have to transfer back into the woman to try and achieve a conception. So it's a reality that some people may not easily come to terms with, as we mentioned earlier, because it's a new whole environment, it's a new whole area of knowledge that they are being exposed to. But definitely sometimes this is the way to go when it comes to achieving and managing the secondary infertility.
Now, I know you have, apart from the app, education is part of things that you do, and you're having a welcome forum coming up soon. Can you tell us about this welcome forum, what it's about, and what whether who can come for it, and what are the benefits of coming for this welcome forum?
Yes, thank you, Dr. Pamela. So we'll be having a welcome forum on the 27th of this month, that is on Saturday, precisely by 10 a.m. And this is a forum that is open to all couples. It's not just about couples trying to achieve a conception. We've talked about secondary infertility, or couples that are having any challenge when it comes to the area of fertility. So it's open to all couples, and all our fertility experts will be there to explain to couples what are these reasons why they're having that difficulty achieving a conception, and also telling them about what the Bridge Clinic has been doing, telling them about our facilities, telling them about the treatment options, and managing them, giving them that education. Counselors are there available as well. We have our nursing team, our doctors, which are the fertility experts, to give them that explanation and making an open house for everyone. So every couple, they are all welcome to come to the Bridge Clinic that will be having this event. We're having it across all our locations, but of course for the Lagos business unit at 66 Oduduwa Way and at off Adekunle Factory in GRA. So we'll be having that, and all couples are welcome to come into join us.
Is there a cost to it, or is it free?
So it's absolutely free. It's absolutely free. You don't have to pay anything. This is a free consultation, as it were, because you have to pay to see a doctor. But this is absolutely free. Our doctors are there to give and answer all the questions that they've been reading online, reading on Google, and whatever questions they have to ask as regards achieving a conception again. So it's absolutely free.
Okay, no, that's great. I think it's important to note that, and for people to come in and to be able to get that information. And also, I think, Dr. Toyin, you mentioned the app was on the website. Do you want to tell us what the website is? So
yes,
people want to go there first.
Yeah, it's www.thebridgeclinic.com. And once you get onto the homepage, you'll see a tab that says Journey to Parenthood. And just click on that tab, and that takes you to where you register and get access to all this great information.
Wow. So thank you very much. We only have time is up, unfortunately. Do you have any last words for our listeners?
I think for me, it's just to always remember that there's hope. There's always hope, and just come to a clinic like Bridge Clinic, where you can have trusted professionals who can give you the right advice and offer you the right treatment.
Thank you. Dr. Ogunniran?
Yes, there's light at the end of that tunnel. We're here with you throughout the journey from beginning to the end. And we're here to help you, we're here to support you, and that's why we're here to stay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe for new video updates.